All right, folks, this is it. No Christian McCaffrey, no Deebo Samuel will finally be able to tell if Brock Purdy is a 50, 55, $60 million a year quarterback. I'm joking. All right. So before you throw your laptop or smartphone against the wall in anger at what I just said, I'm joking. I think we know what Brock Purdy is, and he is a darn good quarterback. And even two games that didn't look all that great, you just kind of look around the league and you see where Brock Purdy is. So the days of everybody questioning, oh my gosh, he was the last pick in the draft. He can't be that good if he was the last pick, folks. He is that good. He does lead the NFL in passing yards, which, I mean, that's not a great indicator, but for a guy who has set at such a high standard, it might not look as good as it has in the past, these first two games, but it's still by and large winning football. So it does, however, I think from a national standpoint, the reason I opened with this is because that's kind of the narrative. That's the theme of the week with no Christian McCaffrey, with no Deebo Samuel. Those are guys that can make so many plays. I was going to say on their own, but in a way, yeah, they can make plays on their own. McCaffrey with the ball in his hands out of the backfield, Deebo lining up in a number of different places, but their effectiveness in the Bears offense, I think it swings both ways. Part of the reason, a large part of the reason that Brock Purdy has been so successful since taking over as Bears quarterback is because of the playmakers, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. But also a large part of why those guys have been so successful is because of Brock Purdy. And of course, there's always he's a system quarterback. Of course, he's a system quarterback. Every quarterback in the league is a system quarterback. And the guys who don't play within the system, who just, from college, run around, play hero ball, uh, scramble around and then make the big throw down the field after 6 seconds after the snap. Those are the guys who don't succeed in the NFL. So I will say this, um, even though I think all of us who have watched Brock Purdy from the time he took over in that game against Miami in the 2022 season, I think even though we've seen him, I think for the rest of the country, maybe there is a large percentage of people who just remain unconvinced because people have a difficult time believing that the 262nd pick in the draft can be as good as the numbers indicate. So, through two games, that's where the 49ers are as far as now they have to make those adjustments. And does it put more pressure on Purdy? Absolutely. Does it put more pressure on Kyle Shanahan to scheme it up? 100%. Does it put more pressure on Brandon Ayuk to know that he goes into every game now when the 49ers don't have Samuel or McCaffrey? He knows that he is now the focus of the opposition's pass defense. In other words, there's no scheming against McCaffrey. How are teams going to handle him on third down? Are they going to put a linebacker, two linebackers? Are they going to put a safety? Are they going to drop their nickel back down? Teams have a lot of decisions to make when it comes to Christian McCaffrey on third downs. And then also at Deebo Samuel, where he lines up. That takes so much attention from the defense to kind of figure all that out. How are they going to handle him? So now, really, the focus for the Rams will be Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. So it's time for Brandon Ayuk to step up. And I'll say this, I think there are a lot of reasons why the 49ers offense sputtered in the week 2 game against Minnesota, and in particular, the passing game. And I know that the 49ers offensive line took a lot of grief because of the quote unquote 6 sacks. But really, when I looked at it, the sacks weren't all on the offensive line, as I've stated. There was one time that Trent Williams kind of got pushed back. The guy got a sack. There was another time that the Vikings ran a game and probably Aaron Banks didn't stick with his man long enough. That was another sack. There was a time where somebody came off the left edge, via the right edge, the defense's right edge, unblocked, So other times, coverage sacks, whatever the case may be. So I narrowed it down to four reasons why the 49ers pass game wasn't as good as it should be. I'd say number one, scheme. The Vikings out schemed the 49ers. They brought five guys, they covered up on the back end. And so the 49ers had a difficult time with that. And that's why a guy comes free. That's why there is a coverage sack. So the Vikings, Brian Flores, defense coordinator, won the chess match. The other thing is with three other things. The wide receivers didn't get open as quickly as they could have whenever there was an opportunity for Brock Purdy to get the ball out. He wasn't able to do that. Also, there was a play that Kyle Shanahan cited where Ayuk could have had a catch for some yards. However, one of his teammates, a wide receiver, I don't know which one, by the way, ran the wrong route, which put him in the vicinity of where Ayuk was and brought more coverage there. Purdy held onto the ball because of the other receiver running the wrong route. Obviously, the offensive line plays part of this. So I'll cite them as well. And also Purdy. I mean, Purdy after the game, admitted or told Brian Flores that his scheme is crazy. He was not able to identify things as quickly as he ordinarily does. There was the fourth down pass play, and this was a tough one because on the fourth down pass play, it looked like the right call against the right defense. Purdy would have had the touchdown pass, I think, pretty clearly to a Juwan Jennings, but Andrew Van Ginkel coming off that edge bats it down. So is that, who's to blame there? Was it the protection of not being able to make Van Ginkel stay on his feet or not get his hands up? Was it Purdy not finding the window to throw to? Or was it just good defense, good scheming? I tend to think it was the latter. So those are the reasons why the 49ers passing game hasn't clicked through these first two games. Bottom line is, 49ers want to run the football. We all know that, but they also want to be balanced. They want to be 50-50. And the key to being 50-50, the key to running the ball effectively is to pick up those third downs. I shouldn't, I mean, obviously, if you have to run the ball effectively on first and second down to set up the third down, manageable situations, third and short. But, where I see the 49ers really struggling was a team that in 2022 converted 45% of their third downs. Last season, they converted 47.5% of their third downs. Through two games, that number has fallen to 34.8. And I think that that's where Christian McCaffrey really comes in. He's such a threat on third downs with his ability to pick up the third and short with a running play or his ability to get out of the backfield and pick up a third down in the passing game. So that's where the 49ers major drop off is. And, who has to pick up the slack on that? It has to be this combination of all the guys I mentioned. But in a lot of ways, it goes back to Brock Purdy being able to see it before the snap and then making the right decisions. Now, the 49ers will have their opportunities against the Rams on Sunday. The Rams have first-year defense coordinator Chris Shula. He's the son of David Shula, the former Bengals head coach, also the grandson of Don Shula, the Hall of Fame head coach with the Miami Dolphins. So the Rams, they haven't been good. Let's just put it that way. They haven't been good defensively, really offensively in the first two games. They're banged up across the board. So the 49ers most definitely will have some opportunities. And then, every game, it seems like, Brock Purdy, can he do it? Nationally, I'm speaking. Can he do it? Can he keep this up? Oh, this is the true test. He's passed darn near every test that has been put in front of him. And I would expect him to again this week facing the Rams. Now, a couple other things before I sign off here, and I'll probably give you an injury update, or just from the locker room update later in the day. But the NFL, or the Pro Football Hall of Fame, announced 167 modern era finalists for the class of 2025. And among the first-time eligibles are three former 49ers, Joe Staley, Vernon Davis, Delaney Walker, and others on that list among the first timers: Eli Manning, Marshawn Lynch, Michael Yanda, um, Terrell Suggs, Earl Thomas, Adam Vinatieri. So the one thing about the Pro Football Hall of Fame with the modern era guys, they changed the bylaws. And by the way, I'm a voter, one of the 50 voters across the country. They changed the bylaws so that it used to be in the narrowing down process, it'd go from, whatever it is, 167 to 25 to 15. And then we discuss those final 15 right around the Super Bowl. Then we have a vote. The 15 goes down to 10, and then the 10 goes down to 5. And basically those 5 get in. This year, they're changing it to make it more difficult for modern era guys to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They'll reduce it down. We'll reduce it down to 7 players at that meeting sometime in January or February, whenever it takes place before the Super Bowl. Narrow it down to 7 individuals, and then everyone votes for 5, but only the ones with 80% vote get in. So it's not likely to be 5 modern era guys anymore. In fact, the stats or the math kind of would show that it's probably going to be 3, 4, or 3 or 4, probably maybe 3 that get in. And 3 is the minimum of the modern era guys who can get in, and then 5 is the maximum. So it's just, I don't know if I explained that properly, but it's going to make it more difficult for modern era guys to get in. So it's going to be more difficult for, Joe Staley to get in, and some of the other guys that, maybe aren't just a slam dunk, Tom Brady, Drew Brees. I think a lot of people last year thought that Antonio Gates was going to be a slam dunk to get in as a first ballot guy, but he didn't get in. So he's back. He was a finalist last year. He's back for another run. Okay, so that's it from here. Thanks again for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, comment as we grow this thing. And we'll be checking in. I'll be taking off tomorrow, Thursday morning, but I'll still be checking in here on YouTube. So once again, thanks a lot for joining me, and we'll continue to preview this 49ers Rams game with all of the storylines leading up to the Sunday kickoff.